It's Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. Let's talk about the news. From Axios, new alarms over consequences of Antarctic ice melt. A new study published last week suggests that at least one component of the so-called Great Ocean Conveyor Belt, which powers water movement across about half the world's total oceanic volume, is slowing more rapidly due to ice melt than previously anticipated. This slowdown could expand to encompass more of that conveyor belt system, or may already be doing so, which could wreak havoc on global oceanic ecosystems that rely upon said movement for everything from spawning patterns to nutrient transference, food availability basically. If this larger system is disrupted, it could also further amplify weather events that are becoming more irregular and destructive around the world. From the Associated Press, Poland's president approves law on Russia's influence that could target opposition. Polish President Duda has announced that he will sign a bill that creates a commission ostensibly focused on investigating Russian influence throughout the country, but which could also, according to critics, allow his government to crack down on opposition leaders and their parties. The argument is that this commission would be capable of undemocratic overreach, allowing them to make allegations against those not currently in power, which in turn would reduce the likelihood of another party ever taking the reins. An especially pressing issue leading into a late 2023 election that'll take place amidst concerns about the retreat of democratic norms and values throughout Eastern Europe, especially in Poland and Hungary, and the parallel threat posed by these nations' undemocratic neighbor, Putin's Russia. And from the New York Times, Ugandan president signs anti-gay law that includes death penalty as a punishment. The Ugandan president has signed into law one of the most restrictive anti-LGBTQ laws in the world, one that prescribes up to a decade in prison for anyone who tries to engage in same-sex relationships, life imprisonment for anyone who engages in gay sex, and the death penalty for anyone convicted of, quote, aggravated homosexuality, end quote, which the law defines as same-sex relations with children, disabled people, unconscious people, or someone who is otherwise coerced into said relations. This law, though especially punitive compared to others of its kind, is not unusual in Africa and represents a failure by the United Nations and Western governments to nudge the Ugandan president away from such a measure. A nudge that is now becoming a reassessment of diplomatic and economic relations between the countries by the U.S. government. This would seem to be a victory, however, for an array of evangelical Christian organizations, mostly from the U.S., that have pushed for this and similar laws to be implemented across the continent. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.